Hello, welcome to Between the Frames. Today we're talking about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Something I did not know going into the movie was that this was a part 1, and I don't think anyone in the audience knew. Rob, what did you think of Tom Cruise?
I thought Tom Cruise was great as always. The plot point about how the impossible mission is actually recruiting everyone to Scientology, I didn't relate to that much, but
Yeah, in the final movie, he finally sneaked that past the executives. That's why this movie is bombing. Well, what
eh,
did you think of it? What did you think of it?
I didn't think it was as good as Mission Impossible Fallout, but it was still another great entry in a action franchise that is over 2 decades old. How about you?
Rock, solid. Uh, Trite, admittedly. I mean, the plot is very, very classic, minus the computer aspect, but very good. I mean, the action's good and it's funny and it makes sense. And there's not pointless scenes. And there's a lot of practical character work and actor stunts and such. So it's very good. And I actually appreciated this time that Tom Cruise's co-lead was a woman in her 40s. That was a nice change of pace for him. He really he really decided to switch it up on me that time. Yeah, overall very enjoyable. I did think the computer talk was really funny, and I agree with you that it's probably not the best in the franchise, but certainly not the worst. I think it's pretty solid all the way around. Especially after seeing Indiana Jones. Holy crap. This movie was a breath of fresh air. So,
I mean, you mentioned the computer talk. I would say that was actually poorly done, but they had all the most outrageous and silly lines about AI delivered by the most beautiful women in the film, which I think helped carry the dialogue through those scenes. So,
yeah, they really should have done a Big Short and just cut to her in a bathtub explaining what a computer is to the audience.
I mean, yeah, I didn't even have to do that because I mean, the cast is Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Palm, Clint. I can't even say her last name, but Haley Atwell as well.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah, there were a lot of
Palm.
characters, right? A lot of characters. Even by Mission Impossible standards, I thought there were a lot of characters in this movie. And I get it because it's a part 1 and they have this whole epic. It's a spy epic apparently. So it makes sense, but there are a lot of characters.
I will say I spy epic is a reach. I think when I think epic, I think, Lawrence of Arabia. Tom Cruise is not crossing the desert in this film. There's no journey. It's just three or four maybe major set pieces back to back. So yeah, I felt that, we had the returning cast from the previous series, but there was also just too many extraneous characters that weren't necessary. So I thought Carrie Hughes was wasted as the director of national intelligence.
Definitely.
I don't know what else to say on that. It just felt
Yeah, yeah.
the plot was, oh, there's a key to control an AI, but the AI is trying to get the key so he can be, an independent woman, right?
Yes.
I didn't find the AI actually scary, right? Because it cuts to these shots of a computer screen with a bunch of dots kind of
Oh, it's the
swirling
Matrix.
around.
It's
I,
it's the Matrix with the stuff falling down the screen, the green. It's basically the same. Listen, I don't even mind that. Whatever. It works for the story. It's for a Mission Impossible movie, it weirdly takes on certain themes that I did not expect, and I don't really think the movie had good answers for. I mean, they're basically talking about a god that can see all possibilities and calculate everything and every possible outcome and control everybody. So it's like free will, basically.
sure.
And Tom Cruise is the one cog in the machine that doesn't fit, right? So they're kind of doing that, but they don't actually do anything with it, which I don't expect them to. But
Yeah.
if you're going to do a part 1, part 2, you probably have to address it to some degree, maybe cut a few characters, maybe beef up the romance between Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell, because admittedly, them caring about each other almost makes no sense, provided they know each other for in the movie like a day.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
crazy. And I if I'm gonna go into it, it should have given some more backstory on Haley Atwell, but where she came from to make some of her decisions in the end of the movie more meaningful, like when she turns down the crypto money to sell the key. It would have been nice if she flashed back to something in her childhood or something, but it's Mission Impossible. What do you expect?
Sure. And I think that is, I mean, to expand on that, I found that to be the least enjoyable part of the film. Rebecca Ferguson's character, I think, is the strongest besides Cruise in the franchise. So to see her just almost unceremoniously killed off was surprising. So, and then
He didn't need to be
replay,
in the movie, frankly.
well, I'm sure there were reasons why, but I found, you could have subbed in Haley Atwell with Rebecca Ferguson throughout the whole movie, and
Hmm.
I felt like the stakes didn't feel real when she died. I didn't feel like it emotionally resonated at all. So that scene felt just off to me. It felt like they were trying to do like a very dramatic death, but that's not what we ended up seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that he's holding his previous love interest and she dies, and then right next to him is his new love interest standing right there, and he's like, "Oh, whatever, there's another one," and just moves on. It doesn't even really come up.
And I think
Yeah, I agree.
it was interesting too. So there's that scene where they say one of you is going to die tonight, and then the guy says all of Tom Cruise's lovers die. You're just another lover, and it just that felt forced as well. It didn't ring true.
Really, I didn't mind
So
that. I didn't mind
really,
that. No, no, I
so
know all that stuff was fine.
I mean, there's some validity to it, I guess. Going back to the AI, just talking about the AI, we keep hearing that the AI is like this god, but we don't really see it being a god.
Yeah, they probably could have demonstrated some more stuff with it. See, the problem is, I think the mistake the movie makes is that it has a surrogate effectively for the AI, which is the Mexican guy. What's his name? He's a good actor, actually. I should know his name.
Uh,
Esse Morales? Issei? How
Yes.
do you say his name?
Don't look at me. I don't
Okay.
know.
Oh, sure. Fair enough. Either way, I don't mean to be insulting. He's good. Having him in the movie though, I get that they try and tie it into some dramatic stakes in a previous movie, but the fact that he is a surrogate for the computer then takes away the whole point of the computer, which is that it's not one thing, like it's not an individual entity, you know?
Yeah.
So that takes away some of the effect. But I didn't mind a lot of that. It was more missed opportunities. So like I said, probably could have beefed up the romance. For example, when he's in the movie, they've known each other for 2 days, but they have all these dramatic moments with each other that feel a bit unearned. And then Tom Cruise is fighting in the alley with the Asian lady and her goon. And then decides not to kill the Asian lady. And then the Asian lady comes back later in the movie and helps him. And that's fine. But there should have been a better reason why he didn't kill her, you know?
It's the
Which is
Scientology,
what I'm saying.
bro. It's
That would have been
Scientology.
something though, at least, right? I mean, what if he just said, "Yeah, I'm Scientologist. We don't believe in killing people." That would have been something, but he doesn't even do, you know what I mean? So there's some moments like that that needed to be paid off that or needed some beef to it so that the payoff was a little bit better. That Haley Atwell's decision when she's on the train to not take the money, stuff like that could have used a little bit more beef. But I thought the movie was good. So,
I thought the
these are
movie was
nitpicks ultimately.
I thought the movie was good as well. Again, back to the AI, like the craziest thing it does is, throw a party. That's kind of silly, right? Like that's its biggest action is throwing a
Yeah.
party for the characters to go to. It doesn't this is a we're told in the beginning that this program can like hack into anything, control anything, but it has no it never does that throughout the film. It just like it might be the smartest AI ever and dangerous AI ever, but it's also, I mean, let's face it, it's a fairly lazy one. If if he is as smart as
Yeah.
he says he is, he just
Well,
has three goons do everything for him. So, what were you gonna
yeah,
say?
yeah. I definitely think I was gonna say when I was watching the movie, I had a thought, which was this is exactly like Eagle Eye. With Eagle Eye is a worse movie, but it does do the computer element better than this, in that the
Sure.
computer is cold and calculated and using people in a very cold and calculating way. And
Yep.
you could have done that in this movie better, and then had moments where the computer is flawed and that it doesn't understand people. Like, for example, when Tom Cruise gets set up to be in the alley against the Asian lady and the goon. You could have had a scene before that where computer tries to give them guns and it just that's obviously the most logical thing to do, but they don't like to kill with guns, it's personal for them. Stuff like that where the computer can't really predict people as well. It assumes that people would be more logical than they are. Stuff like that where you could play with it better.
Yeah.
But the movie's not really about the computer, really. It's about the set pieces and the sprawling. I know you don't want to use epic, but epic of in terms of volume of characters and relationships. I mean, it is the epic finale to Mission Impossible. Everyone's in the movie.
Sure. That makes sense. So, uh,
Also, sorry, you go. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, continue.
Did you think this needed to be two parts? I was also gonna say they could have made this one movie. They just don't introduce new characters, and you could just use the old ones and then have this all be one movie.
Yeah, I would have preferred it for it to I mean have maybe one or two additions. And like I found that like Vanessa Kirby, the black market arms dealer, even her presence felt forced. There was definitely stuff to cut. The opening scene with them in the airport felt way too long as well. So it was
Right,
like,
right.
so let's talk about that. So there's that the scene in the airport where Simon Pegg is decoding a bomb, and then he
Hmm.
realizes, oh, the AI made the bomb to just get in my head. It felt that scene was also quite silly. So
Man, we don't. I thought those were good scenes. It's so funny that you don't think they're good. I liked that. I actually liked when they're sitting there and they're thinking, what, well, if we do this, that's what it would expect, right? Well, it would expect us to think that. So I liked that. It's just that they stopped doing it because I think the writers must have realized that this is not fun at all. Like once you get to that level of logic in terms of a computer calculating it, you can't even make any decisions as characters because a computer would have calculated it. But I liked that. I liked most of this movie, so
I
it's funny that you didn't.
no, I like this movie too. I just thought that scene was too long. So
Oh yeah, you could
I enjoyed it.
probably trim it.
I I thought everything was very well done. I'm a big Mission Impossible fan. I'm just being very nitpicky in this review. So the
Hmm.
only thing I
Yeah,
really
yeah. Maybe the
disliked,
desert scene.
desert scene was also not necessary. Well, okay, so
Yeah.
if this wasn't a Mission Impossible movie, I think it would be more heavily critiqued because they kill Rebecca Ferguson's character and then it's like, psych, she's not dead. And then, oh, wait, but now she is actually dead, right? So my assumption with that is she's not dead and is coming back in part two, and it's Tom Cruise outsmarting the algorithm, right? Or otherwise, it just doesn't make sense to kill her off and then that be a fake out and then for her to die again genuinely, right? I will also say like after she dies, like none of the characters in the movie are really grieving, right?
No.
They all
Well, they
just
grieve for like one scene.
they grieve for like 20 seconds and then they're like,
Hmm.
well, I got to jump off a cliff now. Time to get back into it. So I felt like you didn't see for a character that's been around for this is her third movie. I felt that you didn't see the effects of her death. Outside, I will
True.
say in the final scene, there's that part where Tom Cruise almost kills Gabriel, the
Yep, yep,
AI's henchman.
yep.
But even then, it was like it was shown in a retcon that Gabriel also killed like his first girlfriend. So why did we kill Rebecca Ferguson as well? Do you see what I'm saying? That was another weird retcon where it's like this Gabriel guy and Ethan Hunt have history. Gabriel was the reason Ethan joined the IMF.
In the words of the movie, this guy literally created me. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. He's put into the movie to represent the computer, and then they need to try it to some dramatic stakes, so they retcon something in the back. Yeah, I agree. It's not very well done, but
Well,
it's executed okay. It's just the overall story decision's a bit hacky.
and it's not like there's a shortage of people that have died in the Mission Impossible films to pull from. So this movie takes a lot from the first film with past characters coming back, right? It was interesting to me that the first scene in the first film, maybe three or four actors die in rapid succession. His whole team gets killed. So it was surprising to me that they didn't utilize one of those characters as Gabriel to kind of, or even from another movie to show the past history between the two. So it's just another thing that surprised me. So
Right, right. We should talk about the fact that this movie is bombing. Even though I don't think it deserves to bomb. We're putting forward all these criticisms, but honestly, the way the movie is, I feel it's more or less on par with the quality of the rest of the franchise. And I
yes.
find it very interesting that it bombed. Interestingly enough, I saw this in a theater that was packed. Everyone enjoyed it. So in my mind, I was like, wow, this movie must be doing pretty well. I only found out recently that it's imploding at the box office.
Yeah. And the same, I saw it opening day and I mean, the theater was fully packed and I saw it at like the midnight show that day. I really do think Barbie and Oppenheimer are just absolutely destroyed this film at the box office. There's just no hype, especially for a seventh entry and a part one in a franchise compared to two original films, whether Barbie's
Barbie.
original. I mean, Barbie technically, I mean, it's an IP, but it is the first entry. It's not a franchise, at least yet. And I don't think Barbie will be a franchise. I don't even know how you would continue. I just think that Tom Cruise and Paramount overestimated how much Top Gun Maverick would carry him for this film. And because he was the savior of the box office last summer, right? So to go into this film, I genuinely thought that this would be a good film to put in the summer. I don't think they thought Barbie or Oppenheimer were going to be as well received as they did. I mean, if you think about it, a film like Barbie, it's a female driven film, so there's not a lot of overlap with the box office. And Oppenheimer is a 3 hour film with huge sections in black and white about a 1940s physicist. So they overestimated the success of Top Gun Maverick, but they also underestimated the appeal of those films, and that's why it's bombing. Do
Sure.
you
I
want
mean,
to?
I think you're giving too much credit for. I mean, I think you're giving too much credit to Barbie, but sure. I mean, I think the reason Barbie's successful is because it has a good gimmick. You know, I think if Mission Impossible had managed to make some gimmick to going, it's like the what was it, the Morbius or dressing up as suits. It's the same thing. I mean, I'm not saying Barbie is bad or anything. I'm just saying the reason I think it's successful has more to do with the gimmick and posting on Instagram, well, dressing up than anything the movie is doing. I think Mission Impossible probably just needed a marketing gimmick. And I don't think
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is exactly a competitive. This is definitely a summer movie in the way it feels and plays, and it's a good summer movie in my opinion. It just bombed, I guess, because it didn't have a gimmick, and another movie did and ended up taking it out. Also, it did not need to cost $300 million. That did not help. It was a really expensive movie, but I don't think
Yeah.
it would be that expensive. So
The COVID-19 filming, right? Probably really saddled it down. It's insane that the film
yeah, they
was
definitely made
filmed
the right
in.
call though, waiting.
No, I agree. It's a shame. I mean, we'll
'Cause
get
these
part
movies
two
aren't
though.
good. Do you
Oh,
think
Mish,
this is a bomb? Do you think we'll do part two?
do you think we'll get part two?
Yeah,
It's
do you
all right.
think we'll get part two? Because the first one is bombing right now.
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, they've already filmed the majority of it. So,
So they'll just release it, you think?
yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna release it. It's such a weird franchise, right? Like all the movies are independent. They're not ever really marketed as like Mission Impossible 6, Mission Impossible 7. I find that it is hard to watch the films as well on streaming. I think the
Yeah,
eighth one will
I
do
don't think that's
fine.
bad. I don't think that's bad though, right? I mean, they're just theater movies. You need a crowd.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
think that's a
agree.
bad thing. It's just a different type of movie. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know when the next one's coming out, but It's gonna be an interesting reception probably because it's definitely, like you said, not standalone. The other ones have been standalone, generally speaking. This one is dependent on knowing what's happening,
Yeah.
at least generally about the key and all these elements. So it will definitely be a challenge, but maybe maybe it'll be successful. I mean, I imagine that there's not going to be Barbie 2, part two of their trilogy or Oppenheimer 2. So, I think they'll be okay.
There's pretty much no way they do Barbie 2 just from how it ended. The first
Yeah, I
film.
don't think they're gonna do Oppenheimer 2 where he drops the second bomb and then make another 3 hour movie about that. All right
Sure.
then. Yeah. Yeah, any final thoughts?
Great film.
Would
I've
you would
been
you recommend it? Would you recommend it? That's a better way.
Yes, if you like action films, this is, I would say, the best of the year. The only other film in the same league would be John Wick 4, but that's a little too, that can be a little too violent for many. This is a this is the best PG-13 action film of the year. That'll be my that'll be my take. So, I know I've been very critical. I'm sorry I made fun of Scientology. I'm probably going to edit that out because otherwise they're going to hunt me down. Thoughts? Your thoughts?
I think it's really good. It's a very good rock solid action movie that you can go with mom and dad and grandma, and they'll all have a fun time, and they won't complain about any politics, and you can just watch it. So I think you should go to the theater and watch this. I think it's worth seeing in a theater. I don't think it's worth seeing on streaming just because the way the movie is. But, you know, wor- worth a watch. Worth a watch. I actually think it's a pretty good summer. It's a shame this thing is bombing, right? Because Oppenheimer, Barbie, and this, all three pretty solid movies. So, you know,
Agreed.
get out there and see it. Would recommend. It is a very good movie. And if you like the Mission Impossible movies, it's just as good as the other ones. So that's my thoughts.
Great. Well, this was Between the Frame.
Great.
Goodbye.